They say 55% of communication in an interview is nonverbal. So what is the best body language to have to come across as confident and impress your interviewer? I've read numerous articles and watched tons of videos about body language, then actually tested all of those tips myself in virtual and in-person interviews to tell you what are the most important body language tips that can actually make a difference. To help you practice and organize these body language tips, I'm going to start with the top of my body and work all the way down. So first is your eyes. When the interview begins, make sure to shake hands and make solid eye contact with your interviewer as you introduce yourself. For virtual interviews, you're going to want to introduce yourself while staring directly at your camera. I actually once saw someone introduce himself without any eye contact, and it actually came across as kinda arrogant. Now, you don't have to constantly stare at the interviewer the entire time, and it is normal to break eye contact and look away, but you should know what some of this eye contact actually means. For example, looking down can show that you're nervous, and when you look up, it's usually a sign that you're thinking really hard. So just make sure you don't do too much of either, because then it'll look like you really weren't prepared for this interview at all. And most importantly, if you're following the STAR interview method, when you get to the result or the key point of your answer, make sure that that's when you're making really good, solid eye contact with your interviewer. Next, let's talk about your facial expressions. Try to keep a half smile as long as possible because it'll show that you're comfortable in the interview and will give your answers a really pleasant tone. And try not to touch your face too much when you answer a question because it can come across as dishonest. Now, for your shoulders, you're going to want to keep them down and relaxed. If they're too high, you look unsure, and if they're too far forward, you look like you're trying to be small and you're not sure of your answer. Next, let's talk about confident posture. Now, for an interview, I actually recommend that you slide forward in your chair so that your back doesn't touch anymore. This will prevent you from slouching and will force you to stay tall. Next, it is good to talk with your hands, but try not to use them too much because they can be really distracting. Practice using your hands only to make a point. For example, when you show palms up, it can show that you're being really honest. And if you want to talk about multiple points within an argument or an interview, try to use your fingers to help keep them organized for you and the interviewer. And lastly, we'll wrap it up by talking about your lower body and your feet. Most of the time, they're going to be far below the table, so they won't be able to see it, but you are still going to want to keep your feet firmly planted on the ground and try not to bounce your knees too much. This can definitely be seen as a nervous tic. Now, I know these are a lot of tips to remember on top of trying to figure out how to answer an interview question properly and how to think through a really difficult interview problem. So that's why I highly recommend you practice a lot and really do focus on your body language first so that no matter what the type of question is, you'll always have perfect, confident body language. To help, I would start with one body part at a time and practice it until everything feels natural. And remember, these same body language tips can actually help you at work after you get the job, so these are not wasted efforts. Please comment down below what other body language tips you have for the community, and if you like this video, subscribe for more free career content around interviewing, networking, and getting promoted. Thank you all for watching again, and I'll see you in the next video.